Hello guys, I'm Sorbeck from AXIE, the top player during the closed alpha of Defenders of Milesian Land, and this is the first part of my guide to teach you how to crush in the leaderboard of AXIE DoLL. How does this game works? You need to select your axis, select your skills, and try to collect more gems while surviving the enemy's waves. You start with only one of the skills you choose, and you need to kill the enemies, collect these gems on the floor to level up and get more skills. As the game evolves, you will be facing stronger enemies, more quantity of enemies, and you will improve your level, getting more skills and leveling up the skills you already have. As you survive, you'll be facing stronger special waves that will get harder and harder while you keep getting stronger, trying to survive as much as you can and collecting the gems. The only sure thing on DoLL is that you are going to die, and at this point you want to have the higher score as possible to reach the top ranks of the leaderboard. With all that, you may think that surviving the most or killing more enemies is the most important part of the game. Well, it's not. The critical part is to get more gems, because when you get more gems, you will level up, be stronger, and surviving more or killing more enemies will be a consequence of being stronger. So your goal should always be collecting more gems. I will use the leaderboard of the closed alpha period to explain a little more about it. Take a look at the 4th and 50th player of the leaderboard. Harnack made 30,030 points in 14 minutes, and Dendem made a little less in 16 minutes. The first look is that, of course, Harnack made a best score, but that Dendem survived more. If you compare each stat separately, you might think that the Harnack scores better points, but Denden was better on surviving. Well, that's true. And if you compare with the third place Dot, you will see that he nailed in both stats. He both survived more and got more gems. But this is only true when looking at the final leaderboard, because if you are thinking about improvement, Harnack has far more chance of getting a better score than he already did than Dot, because Dot survived 20 minutes, and you can see that no player has reached to 21 minutes yet. So for him to improve this run, it will take a lot of effort. In the other hand, Harnack has survived only 14 minutes, and a lot of players have reached 18 minutes, for example. So he will very likely have a better run if he keeps trying. So in my opinion, we should look to this leaderboard like this, as Dot does have the best score, but Harnack has the best time because he got more gems in a lower period of time, giving him more room to improvement in the next runs. Now let's take a look at the beginning of your journey to start playing DoLL, the AXIE class choice. I divide the AXIE in 3 classes: the fast but squishy, that are led by Bird, followed by Bug and Aqua; the tank but slow axis, that are Plant, Reptile, and Beast; and the special axis, that are Dawn, Mech, and Dusk, that have special abilities that will be discussed further. Let's take a look at each class stats. So you can see that Bird has the lower hit points with the higher speed, and every subsequent class has a higher HP and a lower speed, going from Bug, Aqua, Beast, Reptile up to Plant. And the 3 special class, they have a special attribute besides the speed and the health. These attributes are HP regen and armor, that are also found in the body type selection that you'll see in a minute. So how would I suggest you to start the game? The best class for me for you to use a bird if you want to play a fast AXIE that will dodge things at the cost of your health. Aqua for a more balanced gameplay where you don't have the bird speed, but you also have more HP, so you can survive longer by tanking more damage. And the other strategy would be the plant, who has the higher base HP of the initial classes and can survive longer, but at the cost of the move speed. So with this class, you need to kill things closer to you to get more gems. Otherwise, you won't be able to reach those gems that are far away from you, like the bird or the aqua will be able to do. Now the special class. In my opinion, those are the best picks because these extra stats have a significant impact in your gameplay, and you can get them from the body types, but this extra part only them can give you. The Dawn and the Mech are the fast axes, and the Dusk the tankier axis of the special classes. Now let's talk about body types. So the body types in the Axie Infinity are just visual, and in Defenders of Lunatic Lands, the devs decide to give them an extra utility. So it's very important to choose the right body type for your strategy. They play a major part, very impactful in your gameplay. As you can see, each class has a unique value of armor and HP regen. The first one with the higher HP regen is the Sumo. Next to it, we have the Wet Dog, the axe that has twice the armor and a little less HP regen. The following is Fuzzy, and then we have the normal axe. You can see that the normal body type axe actually has lower values than the other ones. The devs did that because most people were using normal axe, and they want to bring that difference from Axie Infinity to incentivize people using different body types. The list continues with Curly, Spiky, and the tankier one, the Big Yaki. I will explain the combination of classes and body types, but beforehand I must say that if it's possible for you, do not pick normal body class because it's just like hard mode. It's weaker than the other. They have the same armor of the Wet Dog with less than half of the HP regen, and the same HP regen of the Spike with less than half of the armors. Let's check some numbers. So you can see that in the basic class, if you go from Sumo to Wet Dog, you will have your armor doubled. But if you go from Wet Dog to Sumo, you only get 20% more HP regen. So let's say you are trying to decide if you are going with a Sumo or a Wet Dog. If you decide to go a Wet Dog, it's because of its armor. So in this case, you are getting twice as much armor as you would have with Sumo. But if you decide to go with Sumo, you are going to a HP regen build. So, and you are only getting 20% more HP regen. In this case, in my opinion, doesn't make sense to go Sumo because the value you get from going with Wet Dog instead of Sumo is way bigger than the other way around. Starting with the armor, you get the same situation with doubling the HP regen when going from Big Yak to Spike and get only 20% more armor, but the situation is kind of different. Even if you have this this movement like the Sumo and Wet Dog situation, the Big Yak plays a special role in the game. So for non-tanky strategies, this works just the same. You don't want to play Big Yak, but we'll talk about tanky strategies in a minute. I said all that to explain my body type tier list. In my opinion, the most balanced ones are the best to pick. And as ATP regen can be replaced by skills that give you more health, and no skill gives you more armor, I value Curly more than Fuzzy because that extra armor you get, you won't get anywhere else. And the extra XP regen you would get from Fuzzy, it's you can replace it with skills. So in my opinion, Curly is the best one, but Fuzzy and Spike are also very playable, and you probably won't notice very much in your gameplay if you pick any of those three. This is my strategy for fast and balanced axes, because if you are going for tank axes, they are slow and you are going to be taking a lot of hits. So the higher armor that Big Yaki provides will help you to survive those lot of hits. And even with the minimum HP regen, you can just use more healing skills to improve your survivability. So if you don't need too much of healing skills on fast and balanced X, you just need to put them on your build when playing Plant Big Yaki for a tanker build. The Spike is also playable, but there are a lot of Big Yaki plants on the market, and I think that playing Big Yak is just way better if you are going to this tank strategy. Now let's start with the special axis, the DoLL. So the DoLL gets a bonus 6 on HP regen. If you remember, the Curly was my best choice in base class axis, and as you get more HP regen, the spikes also works here. So you can have either the same armor as the base class with more HP regen, or more armor and almost the same HP regen as the Curly. So in my opinion, both Curly and Spike works very nicely with the down class. The final stats of the max are similar to the down. You just pick different body types to reach the most optimized soon. So Fuzzy will have 4.5 armor and 16 health, a health regen, just like Curly. And the Curly will have a little more armor, just like the Spike down. So these are my picks for Max, and I like a lot. It's what I've been playing for the closed alpha season, because it's just easier to get a Mac than to get a down. And finally, the tanker AXIE, the Dusk, that have way more HP than the Mac, and that can reach 7.5 armor. I also enjoy a lot playing Dusk because it's faster than the plant, so you can collect more gems and you can reach a high armor value. Even with the lower HP, it works, in my opinion, better than the plant. And the reason that you are not going for Big Yaki Mac is because the HP makes this the difference. The Mac has such a low HP, and you can die in the quickly if you take a high burst, and the Dusk won't die to this burst. The Spike Dusk would also be very playable because it has more armor than the Big Yaki plant with more HP regen, but it's harder to get, and the Big Yak is just better in my opinion. That's my second preferred build, playing Big Yaki Dusks, and I have also had some success with it. I just couldn't get to the Mac score, but I got close enough. And that's it, guys. This was the first part of my Defenders of Lunatian Land guide. My goal with this series is to teach you literally all theory you need to reach a high rank on the leaderboard. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next videos and at the top of the leaderboard.